Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coach Kellie Speak Show. I'm your girl, Coach Kellie, author, boutique owner. I am so excited. This week was phenomenal. As always, I give my reflections. And so on last week, we had an amazing show with Rhonda Kennedy from Polly Pearl Boutique. She explained her journey. She explained all of the things that she went through in business, and just knowing her, awesome woman, just really focused, getting ready to launch her bridal collection. I also had Janai Childress, who is the author of Kids Wear Pink Too. She is an awesome author who is sharing an amazing story about kids and how they are affected about cancer. She talked about her story, about one of her closest, dearest friends who passed away from cancer and how it affected her, and just moving into her purpose, moving into her life. And so I would love to feature women who are on a mission, men that are living on purpose, who are in divine alignment to where they're called to be in. Of course, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 18 years. It has been challenging. It has had its ups and downs, but ultimately my goal has been accomplished, simply because I don't allow those things that may cause someone else to lose focus. I don't lose focus. My goal is always in front of me. I have pictures in my house. I have signs on my wall in my room to keep me focused, that keep me going no matter what situations that I face, no matter what challenges come my way. I'm very intentional about my space. On my way here, there were several accidents, and of course it's 5 o'clock and it's almost completely dark outside. We are in a new season officially. If you don't know, we are officially, summer is officially over. The trees have changed. The leaves have changed. The leaves are falling. We're now raking leaves. We've set the time back. It is officially a new season. And oftentimes when we are not prepared, we go through challenges. And so on today, I wanted to just share with you just a lot of recaps from the show, things just since we are in a new season, just going and doing a time of reflection. Usually quarterly, I go back and I do a recap of all of my shows, and I just talk about just some of the things that I have learned as a host, and some of the things that even my audience have said that they enjoy. So if it's something that you enjoy, you would like for us to do again, feel free. You can email me at coachkelliespeaks@gmail.com. And so on today, I'm talking about the climate in society. Well, on Sunday, which was yesterday, we experienced a tragic moment in history where there was a church shooting in Texas where 26 people lost their lives in a moment of weakness for someone who was angry, someone who was upset. I don't know why, but we are here in America. There's so many different things that's going on in society that, for me, it really angers me and have me just wondering and thinking and just really crying out for answers. And right now it's a lot of people I've watched even on my social media that has said things like, you know what, you can't go to church anymore, and say things like, you can't even go worship in peace because of these copycat people who will think that it's okay to go into a church and shoot a whole hundreds of people. We just had a shooting in New York City on Halloween, and then we had another shooting just in Las Vegas. And so in this season, please be mindful. Make sure that you are prepared for life as it comes your way. Cover your kids, cover your family, begin to pray like never before, because we are in a season where we don't know what can happen from day to day. But instead of walking with fear, instead of allowing fear to grip you, know this, that God is with you, that God is for you. And I remember a scripture in the Bible that says that we humble ourselves and pray that God will heal our land. And so this is a time to bless our country, to pray for those that are affected, because someone is missing a loved one, even though it may not affect us directly, but because it's someone that's hurting, someone who is childless, someone who is husbandless or grandmotherless, whatever the case may be, someone is without. And so if you can take a moment and to lift them up, to pray for them, to esteem them. They even have, I know they have a GoFundMe page as well for the victims of that horrific experience. And so I think that is just so important that we work on emotional intelligence, because these situations come and they happen as a result, a lot of times, because of anger. Anger is the root cause to violence. Fear is another cause of violence. And we must, as a people, make sure that we are covering one another. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to maintain that child. And it takes an entire society as a whole to make sure that we are there, because oftentimes hurt people hurt others, and there's a lot of people who are hurting in this season. There's a lot of people who are without, a lot of people who they're not all the way there in their mind. And so sometimes we just have to take that moment and just to pray. And so on today, I want to talk to you about meditation. I thought that it would be so sufficient or so suffice to discuss that subject, because a lot of times we tend to just go, and we don't spend the necessary time in going back and finding a happy space and finding meditation. And you may even ask me, well, what does meditation have to do with it? Well, in times of tragedy, in times of bad things happening, sometimes we have to take a moment of silence, a moment to reflect, a moment to just to get away. Yesterday, I know I did not turn on the news because I could not watch it anymore. It had begun to really affect me, and I was really getting really emotional, and I was crying about it. I was in prayer a lot on yesterday, because for me it's just very tragic that someone feels that it's okay to take someone's life, and it's something that we have to stop. Even in Baltimore, my church had reported just this year there were over 300 murders in the city of Baltimore. And so the violence has to stop. What can we do? Well, what we can do is, while our kids, making sure that we take care of our kids, making sure that we're there for them, making sure, because I believe that hurt people are walking around every day, and sometimes you don't know. And every time we have these situations of these mass shootings, people will always say that they never would have thought that that person could have done that. They will say things like, oh, this person seemed harmless. This person was very quiet. This person was very to themselves. And so thinking about not only the victims, but also thinking about those who have done these horrific crimes, they are hurting as well. And so let's begin to link up and pray for those who are hurting, those who are depressed, those who are dealing with mental health challenges, because most of the time people are afraid to say that they want to hurt someone. They're afraid to say that they want to hurt themselves. They're afraid of admitting that they're having some type of challenges. And so I am so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put even the suicide hotline on my website, and if you can post it on your page, because people are hurting. We're in a climate where people are hurting like never before. People are losing loved ones like never before. People are losing jobs, not to stare you into a season of fear, but just to talk about the issues that oftentimes we avoid talking about. But me as a community leader, as a relationship advocate, it is my duty to talk about these subjects that are affecting us all. And so we're going to take a break, just a few minute break. And when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. People give up?
I think people give up because they don't think they're good enough.
So why do you think people give up on their dreams or any part of life?
I think people have a tendency to give up on their hopes and dreams and aspirations due to, some might say, defeat. But in defeat, there's also a lesson to be learned, and I think a lot of times, if we draw on the lessons of defeat, it actually can give you enough fuel to overcome any and everything. But ultimately, it comes down to just feeling sorry for oneself, having self-doubt, and ultimately losing focus and belief in oneself.
So, oftentimes people give up. What do you think the reason is?
I feel like people give up because they're scared to fail. And, you know, failure is like a big reason to why people don't try as hard, or they don't want to see like the end result. So I think that's why people give up.
Thank you. So why do you think people give up on their dreams?
I think people give up because of time and because of listening to other people. They think because if you want to be a singer, you can't make it in that business, or it's really, really hard. Or even when you get older, after a certain age, as a kid, you're in high school, so you have all these big dreams, big imagination, and you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And then you get even older, you're in college, you're like, well, I can do this, but I can make more money in this. And then you're like, okay, well, I kind of got to change it. I like this, but I'm going to take a little bit out of it and try my hardest to make some money. And then you get even older and you're like, I just need to make a living. So then you kind of give up because you need to survive. You need to make a living. You need to help your family. And now you have a family. Now you have a house or an apartment or something like that, and you have no money. So it's harder to say, well, I got to chase my dream, but do I eat first? It's a little different. And you listen to everybody else. Everybody's telling you no, and you take it and you run with it, and you're like, well, maybe it's just not for me. No, it wasn't for them. It's just a little harder, but that doesn't mean stop.
Wow, that was awesome. Yeah, never give up. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams, because you don't know what your dreams will become. Oftentimes, I think people give up. If I would ask that question, I think a lot of times people are giving up because they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know whose they are. They don't understand that if they gave themselves just an extra inch, how amazing their life could actually be. And I remember times when I wanted to give up. Just this week, I had a wives' night out. Ladies, if you are a wife, if you are inspiring to be a wife, you know, go onto my website, www.coachkellyspeaks. We had an amazing time on Saturday. For those of you who missed it, you can go onto my website. I will be adding video as the days to come. I purposely did not put it on Facebook Live because I wanted to make sure that the women that were there felt that there was a level of confidentiality because we are called to cover one another. And so that was my primary reason why I didn't put it on Facebook Live, because I wanted to make sure that we are purpose driven and making sure that there's no reason why the women wouldn't feel comfortable. And our panelists, we had amazing panelists. We had Pastor Rochelle Wilson, who is the pastor of Another Level Ministries, Another Level Church. She was here, I guess, a month ago. Her and her husband was here, and they shared some practical words of wisdom with us concerning business and partnerships. She is having an amazing event on December the 8th, and I will be the corresponding red carpet, pink carpet correspondent for that day. I'm super duper excited to see, you know, Coach Kellie, the show. I'm just going all across the world, locally, going across the nation, and just abroad. Thanking each and every one of you who have purchased my books. My book continues to be a bestseller on Amazon in the business category. If you are in business and you need a mentor, you need a coach, you need someone to hold you up in business, Coach Kellie's entire Millionaires Mindset class is phenomenal. I'm teaching you step-by-step guides to win in business. Not only just to win in business, but I believe that your brand is your character. I believe that they're both one. I believe that you cannot compartmentalize your brand and it not be who you are. I think that is fluid, and I think that it runs together. And so at the Girls Night Out, we also had Dr. Sharon Cradle, who is a phenomenal, awesome woman who is doing great things. She has an awesome conference March the 24th, and I will be one of her speakers talking about friendship, because friendship is essential to life. I don't believe that we are islands. I don't believe that we are called to be alone. I do not. I believe that God intended for us to be in fellowship with others, to have relationships with others. A lot of people say, I don't do women, I don't do people, I don't do church. But and I always say, well, what do you do? Because you are a female, you are a person, you are a part of the community. And when we distance ourselves from our community, it is a void. So when you fail to show up, the answer that you came with, the answer, the solution that you bring into society is now missing, because you're isolated, you're alone, you're by yourself. And I know that things happen. And on my live earlier, I talked about offense and how we allow ourselves to move in and out of emotions, and we forget to live intentionally and forget to live in logic, because we get so wrapped up in our emotions that we allow them to cloud our judgment, and we make very foolish decisions, very sharp decisions. We say things that we don't necessarily mean in that season. So it's very important to know and to understand the power of relationships. We are even in a season where relationship marketing is at an all-time high. It's not so much what you know. It's not about what degree you have. It's about the people group that you are attached to. So be intentional about your groups, your mastermind, your cliques, whatever you call it, because you are who you hang around. I've heard a great theologian say that if you look at your 5 closest friends, that is an indication of your future. So my question is, who are you around? Who are you hanging with? So my panel was 5 amazing ladies who have been married. collectively almost 80 years of wisdom. And I had Pastor Margot Gross, who is the pastor of Redeeming Ministries, and she gave an amazing testimony that you can get through anything, whatever you facing in your relationship, in your marriage, you can get through it. There is grace. There's enough grace to handle whatever comes your way, as long as you handle it with love. When you handle seasons in love, you find yourself like really excited in the end. But when we handle seasons and we transition in error and we cut people off and we abort the mission prematurely, because just because you're offended doesn't give you the necessary right to disconnect. Because sometimes when we disconnect out of season, it leaves scars, it leaves wounds. So even if you're offended in your marriage or in your relationship and you decide to leave, there is a process, there is a graceful process in leaving and walking away. And I know that sometimes remnant, thank you so much for Dr. Sharon, Remnant of Hope International Church. That is Pastor Margot Gross. She was so amazing. Her whole entire story blessed me. It gave me a different perspective of how we handle our mates in those moments where they've done things to let us down, or they've went against their promises, or they've broken their promises, instead of beating them down. Because when you beat them down, you've just beat yourself down. When you curse them out, you've just cursed yourself out. So that was one of the things that she shared that I thought was super powerful, because sometimes we forget that there's no seed that it will ever leave our life. And so we also had Madeline Hammond, who is the founder of In the Blender, where she shared with us coming and getting and being married in blended families. Oftentimes in blended families, you have the previous parent of your child. So you have in some blended families, you have the baby mama, what they would call the baby mama drama or the baby daddy drama. And it doesn't have to be drama. So she gave us practical steps that will help us if that is our situation. It was super powerful. It was powerful. Dr. Sharon, she made mention that when you are married to someone and they have a heart for their children, oftentimes you can almost you have to divide the love, because although your husband or your wife may have a child, that is not your biological child, they still have those feelings and those emotions, and they have to share that love for that child. And so you cause division in your own household when you make a person choose their child, or make them choose you over their child. Is a very unhealthy place to be. And so if you're in that situation where you're with someone who has a previous child, who may have a baby father or baby mother, it's important to find a common ground, because at the end of the day, it not only affects you, it affects that child. And that's the most important part. And so we also had Sandra Peaks, who is the owner and founder of Shades of Skin Beauty Consultant in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. She taught us about, living in grace, being very apologetic, that when you see that you've done something wrong, you said something that was not the best thing to do, to go back and quickly apologize. Because what happens is everybody in the situation wants to be right. And sometimes right doesn't necessarily, like sometimes the peace of God will trump you being right or wrong. And so if you come in and you know for a fact that someone was wrong and they're not going to give you an apology. What do you do in that situation? For the peace, there's times when I will apologize, even in my own household, because I don't see the point in going back and forth in an issue and dividing my house. I don't believe in division. I never will believe in division, and it will never be division in my house concerning any issue, because one of the things that we talked about is that men have a lot going on. They don't need to come home and have their wife, their significant other, beating them down after we don't know what they went through outside of the household. So it's our job as women to build them up, to not demasculate them, to not put them down. Because if you put your husband down, if you put your boyfriend down, you put your wife down, they're not going to produce those things that you want them to produce. So it's really counterproductive to put your husband down. It's very counterproductive to curse your wife out, because you curse yourself. And that is why in those heated arguments it always feels empty, because that is exactly what arguing is. It's really pointless conversations, just as it is with gossip, just as it is with talking about someone that you're never going to pray for, just as it is with, saying something about someone you're never going to confront. And because I am a relationship advocate, I fight for my friendships. I fight for my relationships, because I realize that it can make or break you as a person. 9 times out of 10, the reason why someone isn't willing to give you love or show you love or even love someone because they don't love themselves. The reason why I have been able to have the most meaningful relationships with others is because I share an amazing relationship with myself. I spend time with myself. I invest in self-care. I'm not going to neglect myself for anything or anyone, because if I'm not okay, then everything else around me is going to be chaotic. And that's why when you go on an airplane, they say to put the mask on yourself and then assist your child. You would think that you would save your child first and then put on your oxygen mask, but no. It says to first put on your oxygen mask so that you are functioning and able to take care of someone else. And that is the reason why so many of us are struggling, because we are taking care of others. We are burnt out from taking care of the world, and then we look up and we haven't done those things to take care of ourselves. And so we're going to take another break, and then we're going to go into a new segment. We will be right back. Hello everyone, it's your girl Coach Kelly from the Coach Kelly Speaks Talk Show. I'm here to talk about my brand new book, the 30-Day, 30-Minute Visionary Journal, Awakening the Finisher Within. I wrote this book because I wanted to inspire other people to be finishers in their own personal journey of business and everyday life. So writing this book has really helped me to organize my thoughts a lot better. And it has also just made me look at things different and not put so much pressure on myself, because before I would try to compile so much information in at one time, but now it has slowed my pace down a lot, and I'm able to really plan things out in a 30-day, in a 30-minute manner. And so I think that now, with different projects that I'm working on, I feel that I'm a little more confident in what it is that I'm doing, because I've actually planned it out better. So I hope that people who get this book will have a deeper appreciation for, number one, who they are, what they've been called to, and the people group that they've been called to as well. I also want people to have a clear and step-by-step guide to how to fight against fear and procrastination. I hope that this book will help you to win in each and every level of your life, each and every area of your life. I want this book to change the way you see yourself. When you look yourself in a mirror, that you won't see yourself through the eyes of fear, but that you'll see yourself through the eyes of faith, knowing that you are a finisher and that you will finish each and every project that you put your hands on. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you, gracias, because without you, I would not be able to do what I do, what I love every day, from styling my clients to the boutique, and now my new show, the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. This has been an exciting journey for me. I'm inspired by each and every last one of your comments, how you share my posts, you know, going on to YouTube, leaving comments, just all of that just warms my heart every time I read it. And so I wanted to just let you know that you can buy my book on my website at www.coachkelliespeaks.net. Thank you again for tuning in, and I love you guys so much. Thanks. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Well, have you ever thought about being an author? Have you thought about selling your story, trademarking poems? Have you ever thought about, you know, you had this amazing life story or whatever, and you thought that it would be just great that the world hears it? Well, on November the 17th, I am hosting Push Into Purpose Writers Workshop. As many of you know, I am a 3-time author. My very first book was entitled Yes You Are Champion, Turning Everyday Challenges into Victory. And my second book was a business book which made it to top 10 on Amazon as best-selling new releases. And so my last book was super duper special to me because I self-published the book from the beginning to the end, and so all credentials, all trademarks, all of it is in the possession of Coach Kellie. And so I'm so excited. So I know all about the different processes as it relates to writing a book. And so my very first book, I published the book. I actually did a book deal. And my process in doing a book deal was very different from me doing self-publishing, and me actually creating a publishing company for myself was even more special because I did it from start to finish. And so all 3 stages of the writing and the editing process are different. The contracts are different. Understanding how to publish through Library of Congress, learning how to trademark, how to brand your book to sell, all of those things I will discuss on that day. And so understanding the proper writing strategy, understanding the proper writing process, what publishers are looking for. If you're interested in doing book deals, there's specific books that they are looking for in order to be published. Trademarks, understanding patent and trade, how that works, how to protect your manuscript. I've heard of people who literally have taken other people's titles, and so we're going to talk about that and preventative maintenance, and also marketing. Marketing is one of my specialties. I believe that I have mastered the art of marketing, understanding how to connect with my desired audience, understanding what keywords, Google analysis work, like all of those different things that it takes to actually market a brand. A lot of times, remember my first book, because I did a book contract, I really was like, excited, thinking that, my marketing and my publishing company was going to do all the work. But I realized later on that my marketing and my publishing company are not the same thing. It's two different services. And so we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about every step to the publishing process. We're going to talk about A to Z publishing. And so if you have a book idea that you are interested in publishing, then I would love to have you November the 17th in Camp Springs, Maryland. You can purchase your tickets on www.eventbrite/Push Into Purpose Writers Workshop. So I'm looking for authors who are interested. And so if you are interested in writing a book and you haven't wrote anything yet, you will still benefit from this, because I'm going to give you steps of the writing process. I think a lot of times, and I just was with one of the young ladies that I'm coaching, and one of the things she asked me is, where do she start? And so I told her to just begin to write. I gave her an entire checklist of things that readers are in, how to engage with your readers, because this is my third book project. And so this last book, I sold more books this time because I use social media as a way to market my book. And so I saw a significant difference. I saw that I was actually shipping books internationally, understanding that when you are writing a book, when you are publishing, whether it's air rights, if you are working on a CD, if you're working on poetry, if you're working on beats, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you protect your work. Because I have had ideas and concepts stolen. So I would do a trade name. I would do a trademark. I would do, I go through the entire process. And that's something that we will discuss on November the 12th. It's going to be a great time. Of course, every time I do an event, it generally sells out. My website is ambushed. People buy their tickets. The Wives Night Out, it was sold out. We had that particular event was a very small space, because I wanted to make sure that it was an intimate setting. We had our Girls Night Out and we had 83 registrants, which was so impactful and amazing. And I was just talking with my team, and I says, well, we're having this Push Into Purpose Empowerment event on December the 17th. And I said, we may need a bigger space, because women are coming from all over the area to come and sit and learn about marketing, social media. People want to understand it because it's still so new. There's so many different things. I know some of the things that I've proven to do, where doing my social media, growing my social media followers, in a month. I noticed in a month I've gained 2,000 new followers. I'll teach you how to do that in that classroom. I'll teach you how to not only gain followers, but how to monetize your posts. Because I think what happens is you go into your Instagram, you post a picture, you go on Facebook and you post a picture, and you may get, say, 50 to 100 likes on a photo, and what happens is that's it. It ends only there. Well, in the seminar, I'm going to teach you how to actually monetize it, because if you're not monetizing your post, it's just a hobby. And so I can teach you how to move from it being a hobby to you're actually monetizing your post. You're actually monetizing what you're posting on social media. There is a science to it. There is a strategy that I have studied that is working for me. I notice peaks, certain time frames where I would get more clicks to my website if I did certain things, understanding what social media platforms were for me. I found out LinkedIn was not for me, so I did not spend a lot of energy there. I went through and I did case studies from my products, and how many products would I sell in an 8-hour period. And so those are the things that I'm going to talk about. So if you're interested in growing your business, if you're interested in growing your social media, because social media is important. I know a lot of people say that there's millionaires that are not on Instagram. There's millionaires that's not on Facebook. But in order to grow your business to another level, you want to make sure that you have it, whether it's a website, whether it's a Facebook page, whether you should do a personal page, invest in your personal page, or to invest in your fan page. So those are all of the things that you can find on the Coach Kellie Speaks website, which is www.coachkellyspeaks.net. We are almost out of time, but I wanted to just leave you with something. Most of the time, we spend a lot of energy in investing in different things, and we forget about ourselves. We are our best investment. I will never forget, for years and years, I would invest in the stock market, and I've literally have invested in stocks and spent, say, $90, and then I'll look up 6 months later and it's $2,000. That was a great investment. But there were often times where I would invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars in the stock market, and a lot of times I wouldn't see a return. So it was kind of like I was rolling dice a lot. And so one day I decided I'm not going to invest in the stock market for an entire year, and take the same money that I would have invested into me, into my projects, into my goals and things. And I noticed that in 1 year, just from investing $1,000, by the end of that year investing in me, I made $100,000 with investing in Kellie. And so I just admonish you to go and invest in yourself. You never know what goal is on the inside of you. I will see you next week on the Coach Kellie Speak Show. Bye. Enjoy your week.